Sawadee-krap. Last time I gave a brief talk on the quotation from Nelson Mandela, which goes like this: if you speak to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you speak to him in his own language, that goes to his heart. And all the students, researchers, academicians, they have been referring to this quotation many times, because it means that there is a value in it, and this is the very source of the importance of language. So through this quote or quotation, Nelson Mandela has in fact revealed the wisdom and the advantage of learning new languages. It is this saying or this quotation is very powerful, and since it is very powerful, in fact it has been said by an inspiring and admirable personality like Nelson Mandela, which will have great positive impact in our life if we can really contemplate to it and then practice thereafter, get values out of it. It will be very helpful for us. So that's why I've chosen this topic for a discussion today. You all might have your own ways of looking at it, perceiving it, but today I'm going to express what I feel on this. Now, being able to speak and understand others' language, in fact, is a mark of respect to others and an appreciation to their culture, custom and values. Because when you talk somebody's language, means you know that will touch his heart, not the head. But if you talk some other language which understand, it will go to the head. But when you talk somebody's language, your intensity of relationship becomes so closer, so good. And that's why if you know how to talk some other languages, it's always advantageous for us. So this is what the quotation or the philosophy of Nelson Mandela shows and reveals for us. For example, now if I give an example, while visiting a particular country, any individual, if one is able to speak a little bit of its native language, such an act will directly touch the heart of the native people of that particular locality or the country. And he or she will be easily accepted into the society then and there, without much difficulties in the first instance. So at first one go, when you are there, the moment you speak their language, they feel, oh, he's like one of us. They will trust us immediately, and they will accept us as one of the family members or as one of the communities. So that's the advantage and power of knowing extra language than your native language. Your native language is the foundation, but these are the added values. So knowing and learning others' goodness, this is what actually we say, that law of attraction. So knowing and learning others' goodness is the ways and means of appreciating or being aware of one's goodness, and such positive attitude will inculcate good relationship at all levels. Because when you appreciate somebody and when you think in a very good way to others, and when you show a respect to others, others will also respect you in the same manner. So we always say that doing good to others is like doing good to yourself. Respecting others is like respecting to yourself. It's just like a reflection through the mirror. So there's a, when you appreciate somebody's language, somebody's culture, naturally they will appreciate yours. So this is how we always exchange our views and then make friendship. Because in this world, no man is an island. We all need connectivity. The internet is very important, because the whole world is now becoming like a global village. So knowing each other's language and values is very important. On this note, it is appropriate to quote Newton's third law, in fact. Newton's third law says that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When you do good to others, others will do good to you. When you learn others' language and appreciate others, they will appreciate you. And that way, how you make your friendship. So therefore, if one is good, others will ultimately be good, as I said before. And if one is bad, others are going to be bad to you. So it's ultimately, it will all depend on an individual. If you want to be happy, if you want to be good, you do good to others. If you want happiness, give happiness to others, help others. Others will make you happy. So these are all like give and take concept. And if I also talk a little bit on what Robin Sacred Fire has said, he is a poet. He's a poet, musician, novelist, entrepreneur, and martial artist, in fact. He said that speaking others' language gives you better professional opportunities. Knowing extra language will give you more avenues. This is because in the present world, knowing 2 languages has become necessity. It has become necessary. And knowing 3 languages has become essential. And knowing 4 and more is the ideal situation. The more you know, the more empowerment, the more flexibility, the more movement, the more opportunities. So these are the advantages of knowing more than 1 languages. In the present open market, even if you can do a comparative analysis, one can notice that an applicant is expected to speak at least 2 languages. When you fill up the form, how many languages can you speak? No, they give all these choices, and they expect us to speak at least 2 languages, which the hiring company can take advantage of, because they want to take advantage of what we know, the extra. Therefore, mastering the second language will create a huge potential for every individual. And even a grasp of second language, if you know a little bit of second language, it will be helpful in your professional advancement. Because in the modern world of multinational corporations, and it's all about now in the world, it's all about cooperation, putting together joint ventures, all that partnerships and all that thing. Almost everything is operated through internet now. You'll be writing a letter, we'll be talking through internet. So there's where how other end will receive you. So if you talk to his language, you know, then he will get more attention to it. That way then you can pass the message through easily. Therefore, if the employees, so once you get employed in the multinational corporation, then you can always connect. You can always connect this particular business, this particular institute, this particular organization to the rest of the world only through language. Only through language, because language is the medium, is the way and ways and means of connecting an individual. So ultimately what I want to say is that knowing additional language is advantageous while one is traveling even from place to place. It will help an individual to at least order right food, then right direction you'll get, and also you can make friends. So that's why when we visit some other country, I always try to learn basic language of that country. So when you go there, you know how to get yourself done, or whatever it may be. Speaking second language will give an individual a competitive edge over other applicants. So when you go to interview, and if you know more than 2 languages or 4 or 5 languages, others don't know, they know only 2. That will give you extra advantage. But we shouldn't forget one. One is very important. At the same time, maintaining one's first or native language is critically important, more than the second language. Your identity is not with the second language. Your identity is with your first language, the native language. And it is the very root of you which contributes to a positive self-concept. Your self-concept, your dignity, or whatever comes is your first language, because you are born with that. Your mind is with that. Your mind is instilled by that language. So that way you shouldn't get too much engrossed with the second language. You should be always firm and honor your native language. It's very, very important. In terms of its value, your native language, in social interaction especially, speaking your first language can strengthen ties with your family members. So if you know the second language so much and forget your native language, you lose the families. Families feel that you are a guest, you are a foreigner. So that's why we should not forget our native language. A person who ignores one's native language will have less cognitive performance in learning second language, as he or she will not have the fundamental basis to do comparative analysis of the two languages. So if you forget your mother tongue or native language, you cannot learn second language. Because when you learn second language, you will always try to do a comparative analysis with your mother language, with your mother tongue, with your native language. So when you do a comparative analysis, you will learn the second language more, because you have a foundation. You will always try to do a comparative analysis with your mother tongue, and that way your brain will become very sharp, intelligent. Moreover, the learning second language on the basis of one's national language, as I said before, through comparative analysis will make a person a true bilingual, because you know your native language, everything, grammar, rules, regulation, you can speak right. You will also become fine in this, so you become bilingual. If you forget a root, you will not master this, you will forget this. You are nowhere. You have no identity, you have no nationality. So we should always honor our native language. If I also now remember what our Majesty, King of Bhutan, he constantly reminds citizens of Bhutan working and studying overseas to be mindful and be aware of the importance of one's culture, custom and language. He always reminds, so that he or she will not return to the homeland as a tourist. So wherever you go, be it anywhere, you shouldn't forget your foundation. That's the very basis. So this is one of the biggest worries of our Majesty, and especially for students studying overseas, because children learn through imitation. So that's why parents, is very important to remind our children not to forget our native language, culture, custom. And for that, I should say that Thailand is doing best, because here, you can see everything in our Thai script. You speak Thai, very important. This is the very root of us. And other languages are important, but that's not. That is not the only thing that we should know. Knowing one's own language is like having a key to the prison. If you're in prison, if you have a key in your hand, so your mother tongue, your custom, your culture is like having a key to the prison, which can be taken advantage at any point of time and situation. And especially you're empowering your national language and knowing about the language is very important, especially during the negotiation. When you do the negotiation, you can always talk with your member in your language, which others will not understand. So you can talk. If you talk in their language, they'll know everything. So I said, during mediation, negotiation, when there is negotiation between two countries, you should be able to speak your own language, take advantage of it. It's for this very reason why many countries are focusing more onto their native language during World Conference and negotiations. You can see, if you go to the World Conference or negotiations, some of the countries are not talking in other language. They talk in their own language, and they'll put the interpreter somewhere. They will interpret, but you talk in your language, because other language you may know, but you may not know the depth, and you might make a mistake in others. But when you talk in your language, you will not make a mistake. You will know what you are talking, because that's the very foundation and basis which is instilled in your blood, and that's why you should feel proud to talk in your language. And for that, I want to remind that I don't want to pass sort of a wrong message saying that you should learn other language and forget your native. No, native is the very foundation that we should know it. Because ultimately, I should say that the second language is just like a spare parts. They are very important, spare parts, but you don't need all the time. The original part is better than the spare part, but nevertheless, spare parts are equally important. When required, we need to use that. So that's why I always say that second language is like a spare part, which is an added value. In fact, added value to one's knowledge and experience. It is an added value to be used as and when required, but not as the ultimate ends and means. It is to be taken advantage only when you require. But your foundation, your basis, your culture, your custom, your language, we should be proud enough to honor that and know that. But at the same time, explore in learning others' language. But don't get engrossed to other language. So that's why, if you know other language, it will you'll be like a bird with two wings, because with one wing, you won't be able to fly, but if you have two wings, we can fly properly wherever you want to go. So that's why these are the power and values of the languages. And today I've just focused only into what Nelson Mandela has said, because this is very broad principle, so to which we can go in and then take out the values. So next time I'll be giving talk on some other topics of great personality. I'll see you next time when I see you.